Buchanan House building. This is where my office is here in Washington, D.C. And today, this week, NATO is launching their 75th summit. So here in our United States House building, I want you to see their gathering. They're having breakfast right now, and then after breakfast they will be proceeding into the Nancy Pelosi caucus room. Where they will be meeting, and the whole purpose of the meeting, the Ukraine 75th summit, the NATO 75th summit, is about the country Ukraine. And NATO is coming together, supporting the war in Ukraine, continuing. I, for one, have been very spoken out about there should be peace in Ukraine, and there should be a full effort by NATO, by the United States of America for peace for this country. Anyone that says they support Ukraine should support peace for Ukraine. What's happening in Ukraine needs to end. Right now, there is an untold, unknown number of Ukrainian men that have been killed. Conscription teams roam the streets in Ukraine, scooping up teenage boys and any men that they see, maybe men that are working their jobs or men that have not served in the military yet, and they grab them, they take them away from their mothers, they take them away from their homes, they take them away from their jobs and throw them on the front lines to serve in the war. The war's been going on for about 2 years, and many of the Ukrainian soldiers serving there have had little to no break fighting in the war. This is a war that can easily be ended. President Trump has talked a lot about if he was president, the war would have never happened. And once he becomes president again in his next administration, this war will be immediately over. I would think that people all over the world would be fighting for that, and members of NATO should be supporting an end to the war that's killing a huge generation of Ukrainian men, leaving mothers mourning for their dead sons, leaving women as widows, and leaving children fatherless. This is something that should stop, but it's not, because the purpose here at this NATO conference is they want to continue this war, and they want to find a way to fund it and continue this war even if President Trump is president of the United States. That is their stated goal. It has been stated here in Washington, D.C., and it's been stated across NATO. And I think that's a shame. It's horrible, and this needs to stop. What we should do is we should be pushing for peace, ending this war, and I fully support President Trump's plans to end the war in Ukraine and to stop, and our country needs to stop funding foreign wars. We need to absolutely stop funding foreign wars and the continuous of this. And we had world peace when President Trump was president, but going forward, it looks like NATO and the Biden administration, and unfortunately, many members of Congress here in Washington are committed to the war in Ukraine and committed to funding this war. Americans don't want this. We want world peace, and we want any American tax dollars to fund the protection of our own border. Our hard-earned tax dollars should not be funding a NATO that wants to continue a war in Ukraine. Our hard-earned tax dollars should be supporting securing our southern border from the invasion of millions and millions and millions of people from over 160 countries in the world. So I wanted to do this video standing right here among all the NATO members that are down here eating breakfast, walking by me, heading into the Nancy Pelosi caucus room to have their meeting. And I wanted to make sure that everyone here knows that Americans do not support funding and paying for the war in Ukraine. Americans are sick and tired of it. We're fed up. We want it to end. We want to protect our own border, and that's what we want to pay for.